Today we're taking a look at the exclusive Mike's Archery MAG 340 Overwatch package from Excalibur. Welcome back to Mike's Archery's YouTube, and today we are taking a look at an exclusive package that we've done here at Mike's Archery from Excalibur. It's going to be the new Overwatch MAG 340 package. Now, if you watched our videos in the past, we did have a MAG 340 Overwatch package for the last couple of years, and this is going to be a slightly upgraded version from what we've had in the past. Now, it's still made up there in Canada from Excalibur and getting shipped down here to us, and this package is still going to have that great Overwatch camo on it. So it's a mossy oak pattern. It's kind of a grayscale, darker pattern. Looks really great on the bow. Now, some of the things we've added to it, we've added a couple of accessories and upgraded the scope on it. But first of all, let's take a look at the specs on this bow. So the speed on this bow is still coming in at 340 feet per second because it is still the MAG 340 bow and platform on that micro platform from Excalibur. Now the tip-to-tip length on this bow is 25 inches uncocked, and once you cock this bow, it takes it down to a 22 inches wide on those recurve limbs. Now the factory is advertising the weight on this bow coming to you at 6 pounds with nothing on it as a bare bow, and then advertising it at 8 pounds with all the accessories on it. Now we did throw it on the scale just to give you a real world weight on this bow, and it is coming in at about 8.5 pounds with the scope, quiver, arrows, everything on there without the crank. Now the crank is going to add a little bit more. If you go with something like that, it is going to add another couple pounds depending on what crank you choose. But overall, this bow is coming in at 8.5 pounds and really close to what the advertised weight is with all the accessories on it. Now the overall length of this bow from the front of the stirrup to the back of the buttstock is 32 3/4 of an inch, giving it a 13-inch power stroke from the front of the bow back to the trigger box, giving it that 340 feet per second speed with that longer power stroke. Now the draw weight on these limbs is 270 pounds. And Excalibur is known for those really heavy front ends. It's the only way that they're going to be able to get those speeds out of this bow. And since you have to have those heavy front ends, you may want to look at a crank on this bow, but it is going to come standard with the rope cocking device. Now, taking a look at the package of what it does include, it is going to come with the new upgraded Overwatch scope and rings. Now, that is a higher end scope than we've used in the past. It's also the highest end scope that Excalibur makes. It's going to be a 100-yard reticle scope, and it's got illuminated red or green reticles inside that scope with a speed dial that's going to allow you to set for the specific speed of this bow, or if you choose to use it on another bow in the future, you're going to be able to adjust that range all the way from 300 feet per second out to 475 feet per second, just depending on what arrow you're shooting through this bow. Now that does come with those multiplex reticles, and you're going to see those in a descending dot as you go from the 20 yards all the way out to 100. Those dots get considerably smaller, but they're still illuminated all the way out to 100. It's also a 2 to 5 power magnification change, so you are able to change the magnification on this scope, and that will change the adjustment in those reticles as you move that magnification in and out. It is a multi-coated lens, allowing for waterproof, fog-proof, and shock-proof. It is one of their highest end scopes and is definitely going to be weatherproof in all situations for you hunting. And you're not going to have to worry about this scope fogging up or causing you any problems while you're in the field. That multi-coated lens is going to give you a much clearer image, just like a lot of your other high-end scopes from some of your aftermarket manufacturers. It's going to create a really high-quality image, and you're going to be able to see crisp, close-up images of what you're trying to shoot at. This scope does have a 30mm tube and comes with those 30mm rings to mount it, so that's going to give you more light gathering in those low-light situations early in the morning or even late at night, allowing you to be able to see your target. Just giving you a few extra minutes is all you really need in the woods sometimes to make that shot. It does come standard with the flip-up scope caps on it as well, which is a nice feature allowing you to protect those lenses as you're headed to and from the stand. So now that we've covered the scope, let's look at a couple of the other things that come in the package. It is going to be a standard Excalibur package from there, coming with 3 quill arrows. That is a 16.5-inch bolt with a flat cap, coming in at 350 grains if you use a 100 grain tip on that. And it does come with those 300 grain practice points in the package. It also comes with a 4-arrow quiver to allow you to use one more arrow. If you pick up some extra arrows, you're going to be able to carry 4 arrows with this bow, even though the package is coming with 3. And it does come standard with the rope cocker, as well as we did add a cheek piece to allow you to get proper eye relief and more comfort when you're taking that shot. This bow is built on the micro platform, and it does come with a full aluminum rail, which gives it a higher quality rail, and you're not going to worry about it being worn or wearing down as you see some of those polymer rails. It also comes standard with the Guardian anti-dry fire. So if you're looking at these bows, it is definitely a nice feature having that anti-dry fire, so you don't have to worry about accidentally dry firing this bow and causing any issues or breaking anything on this bow. That is coming standard on the package along with their premium trigger. And that does have about a 3.5 pound trigger pull, and it's a very crisp pull. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get back and shoot this bow over the chronograph. It also comes standard with their recoil energy dissipation system, or their R.E.D system. Those are already installed from the factory on the front of this bow. It takes vibration as well as noise out of this crossbow. It's come with that feather light skeletized stock, so it gives it a nice open look, cutting some of the weight out of this bow. It's probably one of the lighter crossbows on the market. If you're looking at a new crossbow and weight is a factor, most all of your compound bows are going to come in at least 10 pounds, probably closer to that 12 pound range once you get them outfitted with everything. So this bow coming in at 8.5 pounds is certainly something to look at if that's a factor for your decision making. Now, if you're using the rope cocker, it is going to cut that weight in half as you're cocking the bow, taking it from 270 pounds down to 135 pounds. And that is still a lot to pull for some folks, so you may want to look at a crank option. Currently, you're not going to find a crank option on our website if this has just been released, but as the year progresses, we're going to be adding the new Excalibur crank option to this bow. It's something that they've been developing. If you've seen their C2 cranks in the past, there's going to be a direct replacement for that C2 crank. We're not sure what it's going to be called at the moment, but once it hits the market, we'll be adding this bow with that package. You can also add the Charger EXT crank to this bow for a upcharge. So if that's something you're looking at for that silent crank system, give us a call and we'll be glad to get you a package going with that Charger EXT crank. Now, those cranks allow you to be able to crank this bow with only 12 pounds of pressure. So that's going to take it down to where pretty much anybody is going to be able to cock this bow without too much force, and allowing even women and kids, or if you've got some shoulder problems, a lot of these recurve bows stack up for that last couple of inches as you're cocking them, and having a crank is definitely a nice feature. So not only can you add the Charger crank, the bow is also compatible with air brakes. That is not coming standard from the factory in our package, but we'll be glad to add it as an upgraded feature if it's something you're looking for to take a little more vibration and noise out of this bow. Now, the bow is easy to assemble and to maintenance just because it is a recurve platform. Once you get this bow, all you need to do is to bolt that front end to the stock. It's a 1-bolt configuration through a barrel nut. Go ahead and mount your foot stirrup on the front and the quiver, and mount your scope, and everything's ready to go. So it's going to be a really simple build once you get this bow. It's not going to be a difficult thing to put together, and you're going to be able to have this thing up and shooting in probably 30 minutes or less. Because of the recurve platform, it's also easy to maintenance and change this string. If it's something that you need to change a new string, definitely always take an extra one with you if you have issues in the field. But it's really simple. If you've got the stringer from Excalibur, you're able to cock this bow back, change out a string very simply at home. It's not something you got to take to a shop. One of the other great features from Excalibur is that it does come with their limited lifetime warranty. So even though you buy this bow from Mike's Archery and it is a custom package for us, it still comes with that factory limited lifetime warranty. So if you have any issues with this bow, whether it be limbs or trigger box, we rarely see any problems out of Excalibur, but it still has that great warranty from them, and you can get anything taken care of through the factory on this model. Now, our new price point for 2022 is going to be $699 on this bow, but we feel it's a great value, adding in that new Overwatch scope, which is about a $300 scope addition, and giving it the extra cheek piece and all the great features that this bow packs in is going to be a great value for you at $699. From here, we're going to step over to the range. We're going to take a few shots out of this bow. We want to give you a breakdown of where it's hitting with speeds based on what weight arrow you use, as well as the noise factor coming out of this crossbow. So we stepped over here to the range with the Mag 340 Overwatch, and we want to take a few shots out of this bow just to kind of give you an idea of where the speed rating is on this bow, and also the decibel rating of the noise factor on this bow. So we'll take a few shots here and just see what kind of numbers it puts up. Now, this first shot is with the factory bolt that comes with it with a 100 grain point, so it is going to be a 350 grain arrow, and it should come fairly close to what spec speed is. All right, so 335 feet per second, and that is with a 350 grain bolt. Like we said, that's the standard 16.5-inch quill that comes with the bow from the factory that they recommend you shoot. Now, if you take this bow and you want to weight it up, and a lot of guys are adding a little extra weight to the front end of their arrows just to get a little heavier arrow, and even Excalibur recommends using their 150 grain broadheads and 150 grain points. So if you do that, that's going to put this quill bolt at 400 grains. Now with a 400 grain arrow, we got 318 feet per second out of it. And then as we added weight, we went a little heavier just to give you guys some idea of how much energy it's losing as you weight that arrow up. And if you go to a 450 grain arrow, you're going to see 301 feet per second. So we're breaking that 300 mark even with 450 grains. And then if you go on up to a 500 grain arrow and want to really weight that arrow up to get some extra kinetic energy out of it, you're going to see that bow drop down to about 288 feet per second. Still not terrible, getting plenty of speed, giving you plenty of power and plenty of kinetic energy to shoot any big game animal anywhere in the world. Now the decibel meter on this bow came in at 106.6 decibels. So obviously quite a bit louder than a compound, but not terrible. It's probably one of the quieter crossbows we've seen. And if you add some string silencers, a couple other things, you can bring it down a little bit. You know, all crossbows are a little bit noisy and do have a little bit of noise to them. So just expect that out of any crossbow that you get. But this is on the quieter side of what we've seen out of most bows. As far as the feel, the balance in this bow feels really nice. It's got that short front end to back end, but it's not weighted heavy on the front end. Even if you're younger or not quite as strong, if you don't have a rest up front, you're gonna be able to shoulder this bow very comfortably. Not a lot of front end weight that you get with a lot of other bows. And from there, that premium trigger is very crisp. So even though it's not their most expensive trigger, you can add higher end triggers from Excalibur and get it down to a 3 or less pound pull trigger. This is coming in about 3.5 pound pull, and it is very crisp. You're not wanting to jerk through it. You can really comfortably squeeze off the shot, keeping it more accurate. And if anybody's ever shot an Excalibur bow, they are one of the most accurate bows out there. You're going to get great groupings, great arrow flight, and just an overall great package from Excalibur. So if this bow is something you're looking for, give us a call here at Mike's Archery because it's the only place you're going to find it, and we're going to get you set up with one.